All right. Another recording day here for Keeping It Real Estate Related.
That was
I'm
clever.
really trying to shop this
Yeah.
this title of this series. In just kind of came up with it is like, what's one thing or a handful of things that you wish you do before buying your first house?
I wish I would have known how many little things, like little costs that you don't see coming. Like if you're buying a single family home, you need a lawnmower, you need a weed whip, you need tools, you need
Hmm.
all of these, and it's just like all of a sudden you get a list of 100 things that you need to go out and buy. And you bought this house, and maybe you put, now this wasn't my case, but maybe you put a big down payment because you want to minimize your monthly payment, and you just kind of didn't leave quite as much as you wanted in your bank account to make it comfortable. And now you got a list of 1,000 things you need to go buy because these little things add up quick.
Yeah.
Um, that was 2017,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was one thing that immediately came to mind when you asked me that.
So on top of that, now Christmas is next week. So if you do have a new homeowner in your life, whether it's a nephew, cousin, brother, uncle, whatever, those things specifically are great first year home buyer things of tools. Hey, what kind of tool do you need? I know as a homeowner, I would definitely appreciate that. Say, you know what? If you move up, a chainsaw.
Hmm.
If you've got woods, you're gonna need some tree maintenance things.
Yeah,
Or a new construction home. I think this is often one of those mis understood things is window treatments. Man,
yeah,
window treatments are expensive.
so expensive.
I bought a foreclosure that was a new construction home, and the builder went down. So it had never been lived in, so I didn't have any of this stuff. I bought it, and my girlfriend at the time, she's now my wife. Um,
Clarification,
I'm,
thank you.
I'm yeah, I'm sitting there, and like I'm just, I think I was 21 or something at the time, and I'm like, it. Ooh, hold on.
Come on.
Oh, there we go. So I'll probably continue there. Um, and I just like took like curtains and I just push pinned them up,
Yep,
much like I did this flag behind me.
yep.
And we lived right on the highway. And she's like, I'm getting you blinds. And she bought that for me. She also bought me
You're an
a
adult now.
yeah, I know. She also bought me a water softener,
Hmm.
and she's just like, I can't stand your water. Like it was like, oh man, I'm so scaly right now. It was like that's a perfect Jenny right there.
Yeah,
But it was like, oh, okay, all of these things, so it's 400 or 500 bucks there, 400 or 500 bucks there, and
yeah,
yeah, you're exactly right. It's expensive to move into a home, whether it's your first house or even the next one. It's just
yeah,
like packing boxes.
yeah. Well, and there's plenty of stuff that you can push off and okay, we'll take care of that later. That's not an immediate need, but there are some things that are like we need all of these now. I mean, one of the ones that I also thought of is our most recent home has a long driveway, and we bought it, and I was like, man, winter's right around the corner. I'm like, we don't have a plow.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like I can't shovel this whole thing. Like that's not how it
no,
works. And
no.
and man, that's not a cheap option either as well. So
But our house that we're currently in, it was we moved in April, and it was a great. I mean, it was a great spring, so like grass was already growing.
hmm
Like by the week I had to move in, I had to mow the grass, and that's pretty early for Minnesota.
yeah,
And I had this little riding Cub Cadet, and it was just like a tiny little,
yep,
I don't know, it was a 30 incher or whatever.
right,
And you know where I live.
yeah,
It took 4.5 hours to get this done. And I'm like, Jenny, I can't do this
yeah,
once or twice a week. So I went and bought a zero turn, and now hour and 10 minutes or so. So I mean, it
right,
was an investment in the time. But a couple other things that I wish I knew. It's like, yeah, have that emergency fund. I mean, things just seem to be way more expensive when you own your own place.
yeah. It's not if something's gonna happen; it's when something's gonna happen, and how big is that something? You know?
Yeah. You're like, I'm hoping this is only a three-figure issue and not a four or a five-figure
Right,
one.
right.
Prime example, I was dealing with some plumbing issues. That was just gross and smelly
Yeah.
and nasty. I was up in the joists in the basement,
Hmm.
and it had backed up before, so I already had a cut in the rubber gasket on there. And I
Hmm.
was like, well, it's kids are awful at, scraping their dishes. I'm going to blame my kids. They're young. It's okay. They still love me. I love them. But so I open it up and it's just this black water's coming out. It's just gross, and you can kind of
Mm-hmm.
see it just caked around. It's old grease and everything. But I was like, all right, I know what to do. I know how to do this and fix it. But I don't think I would be doing that in my very first house. Like you learn, I've owned a house for 15 or 16 years now. But it's just that water and just like the grossness of like, oh, I'm learning a lot here. YouTube is a big thing if you're moving into a first house.
Oh, I
Um,
live on YouTube when it comes to
at
home remodels and home
oh,
stuff. Yeah.
the worst is like I'm like trying to like drain it right here, and it
Yeah.
was like dripping down my arm, and then in
Just reeks.
my
Yeah.
armpit. And I'm just like, oh man, this is awful.
Seriously, if there's one thing you take away from this video, it's don't put food down your drain, for
Yeah,
goodness, or grease.
yeah.
Just don't do it.
No, it's awful.
I
So
don't care if you've got a food disposal system, like just don't do it.
it's so gross.
And it will get clogged up,
Yep.
And I mean, you could ask Eric about his last fairly recent, extravaganza with cutting open his pipes because they clogged up. Just, it's just terrible.
Just nasty.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I guess one other thing I wish I knew, it was probably how kind of invasive just like the loan process is. Like I bought my first house in 2009, 2008 or 9. So kind of like the height of like the financial crisis, like a lot of foreclosures. Um, it was they were nitpicking absolutely everything. Like I
Mm-hmm.
sold a John boat, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like a $215 John boat. Not much money,
Right.
and I put that money into the bank. This was a cash transaction. And it's just like, no, this was an old John boat that was leaning up against my tree that I didn't want anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Some guy bought it so he could leave it out in the swamp to go duck hunting with. And it's like, well, you need a bill of sale for that. And I'm like, I don't even have this guy's phone number. Like I had to
Yeah.
write a letter, of this. And it's gotten better to a certain extent. But if you're looking to purchase anything, I'll be financially quiet.
Yeah.
I would say for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, be financially responsible, but be financially quiet for like a year. No big cash things. No, I mean, don't do anything super spectacular.
Right.
Just pay your
Work,
bills.
yeah,
Just
work on your credit.
yeah,
Just
yeah. I mean, because it could be a big process. I mean, it was fine. Then I had to close twice. That was I was not happy with that. The selling bank had a problem.
mm-hmm.
I closed. I wrote my big check. I was like, oh, this is great. Get a phone call. Hey, you didn't move in, did you? Yeah. I moved all my stuff, which was not much because I moved out of a 10 by 12 room in my mom and
Yeah.
dad's house. I fitted all in my car. Oh, yeah, you don't actually own that just yet. We need to redo all the paperwork on, Monday or
Oh.
Tuesday. And like, well, you need to get out of there. I said, I'm not getting out of here. Like, no, I did it. And anyway, so it cost like 1,700 extra dollars. It was just kind of a gong show, but
Mm-hmm.
things get expensive and, for some reasons that are completely unknown, and but it's partner with a good agent, partner with somebody that's been there. And what I like to do is I almost talk a little too much during a showing,
Mm-hmm.
especially with new homeowners, new first time buyers. And I said, you know what, I think some people appreciate me that I'm pointing some of this stuff out, and some people don't. I said, what I want to do for you as a first time home buyer is I want to educate you on the process of things in the house. Like most recently, I crawled under the stairs and I saw some old water damage.
Yeah.
So it's just like learning how a house works.
Yeah. Yeah. That was when I actually bought my first place. My dad, he bought me a book that just says, I don't remember exactly what it was called, but it was just like everything in your house and how it works, basically. And I
They had
mean,
YouTube in a book form.
yeah, basically, yeah. And I've used it,
Yeah.
when I'm looking at, furnace, and I didn't know how it works, and my igniter went out, and stuff like that, like just knowing how a house works is a big deal. And I do the same thing. I actually really like working with first time home buyers because what I tell them is like, look, I'm not like super hands-on these showings. I'm not going to, shadow right behind you and make you feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to go and look at the house, and I'm going to see if there's anything that would like kind of trigger a red flag for me, and looking for the big ticket items.
Mhm.
And I mean, little things that I didn't know. I didn't know how expensive windows were in 2017, or
Yeah.
that's when I first bought my house. But um, like those are big deals when you're looking at a house. It's your first house and you're looking through, and all of a sudden you look and they're all brand new windows. It's like that might be a
Yeah.
$60,000, you know,
Yeah.
bill that if they were, rotted out and a year into buying your first house, you need to get them replaced. Like things like that matter, and making sure that you've got somebody who's representing you well is a big deal too. So
Yep. So really, things we wish you knew how expensive some things are. It's not just about trading, your rent payment for your mortgage payment.
right,
It's everything else. So, one, but you got to be prepared, and again, it's a responsible adult decision, and you should be making those types of choices.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you.
Like you.